By die Universiteit van Kaapstad vra 'n nuwe dokument dat swart mense alle gesprekke oor die kurrikulum moet lei, dat dosente minder mag moet hê en dat die koloniale kennis bevorder word. Die studente drukgroep Progress dink dis 'n klomp bog. Tami Jackson, een van die stigters van Progress, sit hier oor kan my. Tami, welcome. Why does your organization exist?
Well, firstly, thank you for having me on your show tonight. I think during the past 3 years, or since 2015 rather, we've seen an increase in many of the student protests happening around institutions of higher learning.
Like fees must fall.
Yes, fees must fall and roads must fall. And what these movements has done is obviously brought a conversation to many of the societal issues happening in South Africa. But it's also brought rise to many conversations and dialogue around the concept of decolonization. And what this dialogue has done is introduced a lot of ideas which we as Progress view as being quite dangerous, or ideas that has to do with a specific ideology. And ever since then, they've been controlling a lot of the discourse happening on our universities, even to a point where management has decided to embrace these ideas without speaking to the rest of the student populace about it.
Give us a few examples of these ideas. What worries you most?
So, for instance, a lot of these ideas can be found in the newly released curriculum change framework at the university. So, firstly, the curriculum change framework was formed, or working group rather, was formed so the university could provide an alternative to the current curriculum, which they believe protects the status quo in South Africa. So these ideas include wanting to introduce a new form or new style of teaching rather, where they talk about power relations, racism, why white people are not allowed to teach on certain topics.
Including African history, African literature, for example.
Yes.
Why not?
Well, because if you're the wrong, if you're the wrong race, for instance, to a lot of the people conforming to the concept of decolonization or decolonialism, you don't have the authority to speak on these issues.
So only black people can teach on
what black
those.
pain feels like. You don't know what black experiences are about. So you have no legitimacy when speaking on these
things. And your
things.
group thinks that's ridiculous.
Yes, it's absolutely ridiculous.
And how has your protest against these trends at UCT, how has it been received on campus?
So 3 weeks ago, we started a poster campaign, and the hashtag was is UCT free. And the main objective of this campaign was to provoke people and to actually spark a conversation around these issues on campus. So we questioned whether or not UCT actually takes academic freedom seriously, especially in light of this new framework that has been released. Does the university take academic freedom seriously, and is it willing to protect freedoms that are currently existing at the university?
So what was the response when you tried to ask the Vice-Chancellor about the decolonization of knowledge, for example, in the sciences? I think you mentioned the example of a light diode in one of in your open letter. I mean, how can you decolonize physics and maths, right?
Exactly, and that is our critique at this point. I think when we asked the questions, or posed the questions rather, in a very peaceful manner to the Vice-Chancellor, she simply blocked us in order to avoid being accountable to students. And we view this as being very hypocritical, because when management is faced with a certain crisis and any type of pressure groups come to their office to ask questions, the only time they actually...
Including the EFF recently.
Including the EFF, yes. Whenever they are posed with questions, they only seem to answer or be accountable to students if they are threatening to burn or destroy property at the university.
So students at the far left have had no problem getting an audience with Max Price, the previous Vice-Chancellor, or VC Pakeng now, right?
Exactly.
But you struggle.
Yes, we've been struggling, but I can say that during the next week or so, we will be issuing out another statement to put further pressure on management. The only thing that they've done thus far is release a statement on the 22nd of February, responding to us and reaffirming their commitment to academic freedom, but we view this as being very disingenuous.
Why have students and staff been so afraid to express their views about these trends before Progress was founded?
Well, since the 2015 protests, we've definitely seen a trend where people are starting to self-censor themselves on campus.
In fear of what?
Including the academics. Well, I think it goes without saying that people are being ostracized at our institutions if they do not conform to a certain doctrine or certain line of thinking, especially academics who one would believe should be the ones upholding the values of academic freedoms and standing firm on their ground. But that hasn't been the case at UCT.
There was also, I mean, there have been cases of violence and intimidation of students, but that was 2015, 2016, 2017. Are you not experiencing perhaps a bit of an easing in the tension on campus, that for the first time now there is an organisation, yours, that expresses some of these counter-revolutionary views? Is this not a sign of, of progress?
Well, not exactly. So we view a lot of the students at universities, not only at UCT, but across the country, as being generally apathetic when it comes to student affairs and academic affairs at the university. So if you look at the curriculum change framework, you'll see that one of the issues that we've mentioned in our letter to the VC is that the document contains a lot of linguistic indeterminacies to a point where it's almost impossible for anyone or any student to decipher what's...
Okay, linguistic indeterminacies, in other words, it's
the
vague.
jargon,
it's vague.
and it's extremely vague. So in
and you are afraid
way,
that will become policy, and that in a few years' time, white professors will not be allowed to teach certain subjects? Or what?
Yes, indeed. And so the problem with that is that students aren't able to decipher what's in the document, and in that way, they'll never be able to rebut or write submissions to the university to say that they disagree with this. And if they don't disagree with it, it will pass through as policy.
Tell me very briefly, why is the Student Representative Council, the SRC, not taking up this fight on behalf of freedom-loving students?
Well, because the SRC is filled with students who don't love freedom, unfortunately. So at the University of Cape Town, the EFF Student Command is currently leading the Student Representative Council, and they've already sent out a mass email to say that they support this framework. And like I've said before, many students come to university not because they actually care about politics, but because they are there to obtain a degree. So no one really understands what it says, and in that way was not able to respond.
Tami Jackson, thank you very much.